So far the story we've gone through, we have brought in a whole bunch of users into Liferay. We have seen how to organize them using organizations and user groups. Let's go ahead and see how we can control what these users are able to do as we're talking about controlling user access. So controlling user access is when we implement this idea of permissions. Now, permissions, you and I already know what permissions are in real life, right? I have permission to conduct this training on video for you. You have permission to watch them, to access them. I have permissions to tell silly jokes, or at least I hope I have permission to do so. If I don't, just don't tell anybody, right? And so on, right? We delegate permissions to our kids, right? We have many examples in real life of what permissions are. And the idea in Liferay is the same thing, right? Permissions are defining what we're able to do within Liferay. But we have a more specific, a more technical definition of permissions. Permissions, technically speaking, are actions upon a resource. So actions could be, things like create or update, delete. So CRUD operations are your common actions. Resources could be anything within Liferay. A user, a blog post, a specific application, a widget, right? Anything within Liferay. So a permission is a specific action that we can perform on a specific resource. And we are defining those permissions or giving them to our users. So we're saying user A, you have this specific permission. You're able to perform the specific action on a specific resource. So a couple more examples over here with Omar. So Omar, in order to perform his everyday tasks in real life, he needs to be able to do things like create blog entries. That's his job. He should be able to upload images to use within his blogs. So when we upload images within Liferay, they're going to exist in a place called the documents and media. So he needs the permission to upload his images to the documents and media, right? Omar is responsible for all of the blog posts. So if I create a blog post, talking about how wonderful dogs are and how dogs are the greatest pets in the world, this doesn't have a lot to do with Livingston Hotels and Resorts. So he should be able to review the blog posts that I make. And he should be able to edit the blog's page. So again, maybe in my deliriousness at 3 a.m, I accidentally put a picture of my favorite dog on the blog's page. He should be able to edit the page so that, that picture is not there. And then he'll probably take away my permissions and scold me about how this is work and not your own personal blog. But in any case, permissions are actions upon a resource. So how do we set up these permissions specifically? There's going to be a section within the control panel that helps us do this. When we're setting up our permissions, we can set them up for our users, essentially. Every user within Liferay has their own set of permissions for them. So, for example, in real life, right, I have permission to, drive my car. You have permission to drive your car. We both have permissions to drive cars. But the difference is I have mine, you have yours. That's the same idea here within Liferay as well. We may be able to delegate permissions at a more general level, but each individual user has their own set defined for their specific things that they may interact with. So permissions are also fine-grained. The idea here is you can set permissions on pretty much anything in Liferay. Folders, documents, site pages, your own pages, other users, roles. You list it, you can probably set a permission on it. This is what makes permissions not only very powerful, but also introduces an element of complexity as well. So we'll start untangling some of that pretty soon. And workflow can be applied as well. So permissions to access workflow when we're creating content. So hit a summary point here. Go ahead and, as we've discussed before, review your student manual, fill out the blanks in the student manual on your own, and then we'll come back together here. So let's talk about those here once you're ready. So starting off, defining permissions summary. So a permission is an action upon a resource. Permissions define what platform users can do and what resources they can act on, right? Since users are pretty much the only thing working in Liferay, right? We can only perform or add permissions to users within Liferay or the platform. And permissions are set in the context of user roles. So the idea here is you have a role, which is a collection of permissions. Assign the role to the specific user, they inherit all of the permissions of that role.